Hey guys, this is a quick investor awareness overview on the campaigns that we want to focus on leading up to the end of the year, in particular leading up to Minds and Money, which is in the end of November, so it doesn't leave us much time. In fact, it's only 90 days away from now, so we really need to focus week to week in what needs to be done to bring the greatest amount of awareness to the company during that time, when we've got an AIM listing in the process there as well. So really these next 90 days become extremely important, and to make the most, of course, out of Minds and Money at that event also. December is going to be a little bit of follow-up, but largely the focus, of course, of our target market is our existing shareholders, to build resilience and get them to stay in, to buy more and to be advocates for the stock in general. But this presentation is largely about potential investors. Who are they? Where are they? How do we go out after them, and what sort of journey do we take them on once we get hold of them? So targeting in on potential investors. And we're going to really focus only on London and the UK in general, and on the basis that we go out after our Dream 100. Who's our Dream 100? The Dream 100 is the 100 people who, if we got those involved in supporting the stock, would absolutely create greater awareness across their markets by talking to people, by getting the message out there, etc. So look, it might be 100, it might be 200, it might be 1,000, but we're really going to focus to try to get this Dream 100 and try to build that list and understand why they are in our Dream 100. So the important thing is, who are they? Where are they? What sort of bait do we get them used to get them interested in NQ Minerals in particular? And where do we take them once they've come in to gather interest on the stock? So what's the journey that we take them on? And when we break it down, our target market is largely brokers and analysts. It's institutions, family offices and investment companies in general. Of course, it's that retail market, which is the investors and high net worths. And it's also the publications, the bloggers, the influencers and the investment forums that also have influence in the market. So brokers and analysts have a relationship with investors and high net worths. They also have a relationship with institutions, family offices, etc. And so too do publications. The bloggers, they have that relationship with investors. So these intermediaries become extremely important to getting to them, so they understand what's going on to really get that volume going in the retail market. Normally we go out in the market generally from face-to-face to phone calls to emails to roadshows to conferences and trade shows. Well, the conferences and trade shows really going to be in Minds and Money, end of November. And, you know, if we look at this period in the next 90 days or so, what are we going to do? Well, largely it's going to be more about phone calls and emails than anything else. There might be a roadshow and as many face-to-faces as we can with the Dream 100, of course. But I like to bring in the concept of a webinar, and Webinar Wednesday, which is the Wednesday, the second last Wednesday of the month of September, October, November. We get people to a chance to attend the webinar, but we also get a chance to deliver that recorded webinar to people in the time of the month leading up to the next one, so that they can become aware. We present the key elements of the company. We give them a chance to meet some of the board members and the key management, etc., and the compelling reasons why this project, in particular Helia and NQ as a company, is really going places. We're also going to use SMSs and things like to jog their memory, the webinars coming up and those sorts of things. So our target market in general, brokers and analysts we can go out to direct. We've got a list of those in London. We've also got a list of the institutions, family offices, etc., which we can go out to. As I mentioned, they have a relationship with investors and high net worth, so they become extremely important. And we can also go out direct to the publications, the bloggers, the influencers and investment forums. But just let's focus here on investors and high net worths in particular, because the other ones like brokers and analysts and the institutions and bloggers, we can go out to them directly and we've got to get their attention. Well, really in relation to the investors, what we want to do, and high net worths, we want to have multiple campaigns, and we'll go about that. Largely the three ways are media buying by way of Google ads, etc., banner ads on influencers, but really in that case we want to reverse engineer their traffic. We'll also look at buying lists of high net worths, UK type lists, and we'll also go out under social media, and we'll just have a quick review of them. There's a whole bunch of tools out there now where we can start to analyze these websites and see if they're really in our market. One of them is similarweb.com. When we look at Proactive Investors, for instance, as another place to buy media, well, in the UK, they've got quite substantial. They've got 400,000 odd visitors coming in, mostly in the UK, and we can see where they get their traffic coming into that site, so we can go onto those areas where they're getting their traffic to their site of 400,000, and we can put ads in those areas. We can see there that 63% of their traffic is coming from the UK, so that's a good market for us to go after. And we can also, these sites also identify the top referring sites, the ones that are referring sites to those websites, so we can go in and buy media on those. We can also look at competitor and similar sites and analyse those likewise. There's companies like Interactive Investor, and when we look at them, they've got over 2 million total visits a month. So obviously with our target market going into that sort of market, then over 2 million investors, if we can get in there, if we can advertise in their page, or if we can go and have a look. See, largely 85% of their traffic's coming from the UK, and this is a process we're just going to go through to try to narrow down where's the traffic, who's getting all the traffic, who's getting all the visitors, and then we can go in and we can identify what ads they're using and where they're getting their referrals from. So when we get down to buying lists of high net worths, in particular UK lists, there's a whole bunch of lists out there we can go out and buy, and I know we've looked at a number of lists amongst us, but we just look at 4 of them here. This group, UK Marketing Management, they've got 4 lists: Investor Register, which is a register of shareholders of public companies. They've got a high net worth list. They've got Bloomberg. They've got venture capital investors. Well, they range from £120 for 1,000, £170, 1,000, etc. What we do is we'll go out and have a look at doing a campaign similar to what we have previously. We offer a bit of bait to get their name and email address, and then we have an ongoing conversation with them by sending out a report or starting to send out and communicate with them ongoing. But we can reach 20,000 people there for £2,625, so that might be well be worth it. But overall of that, there's about 4.7 million people, but the cost to go out and reach those through a list is £485,000, which is just absolutely prohibitive. And if we look at social media, the big one in social media in terms of getting traffic, so traffic's always out there. Investors and high net worths are always out there. The traffic's there. What we need to do is find where they are and use a bait to get hold of them to then take them on our journey. But Facebook is the big one, and the reason that Facebook is the big one in terms of social media is because you can really dissect the nature of their the people that you want to try to get to. So here, for instance, just as an example, I've done a 50-mile radius around London, and then just north of London, the age bracket is between 30 plus, men and women, English language. We can identify and narrow it down to above average affluence, high affluence, very high affluence. We can narrow it down into their interest. On Facebook is really to narrow the niche, bring it right down as far as we can. So the better we get into niches and micro niches of people interested particularly in mining and investment and early stage type opportunities, the better we're going to be. But the interesting and good thing with Facebook is we can identify a daily budget. We might say, well, okay, spend $100 a day on this site or that site. Now, when we look at the sort of sites that we would go on and advertise, you see here Proactive Investors Worldwide. Well, we saw before that they're getting 400,000 people a month to their website, but onto their Facebook here, there's 28,000 people like it and 28,000 odd people follow it. What we can do is we can come in, we can drop an ad right there where that video is, an attractive image that gets people to click on it. When they click on it, we then get their details and then can then have an ongoing conversation with them. In terms of priority, look, I'd probably think that we'll get straight out onto the list because we've got lists. We've done these opt-in things before, and we can get out because we've got to really get out this week, start things going. But I think the priority really, if we can get it working right and we can get the niches and micro niches down, is really going to be through Facebook. If we can really go into where these people are going daily and put an attractive image for them to click through and then sort of try to grab their email, that will be good. The media buying side is more of a hit and miss. So UK lists and social media through Facebook ads, I think, is a good one to start with, and obviously we can do a similar thing with the publications, bloggers, influencers, and the investment forums in going into their Facebook pages and dropping an ad in there, which is not really that expensive to advertise. Content's going to be important. What bait are we going to capture them with, and gather their interest in, and where are we going to take them? In terms of the market overall, let's just have a look at brokers, analysts, and the institutions. Well, brokers, analysts, in terms of brokers and analysts, we've got the list, but what we need to do is we need to find out, so it's always going to be a phone call to start with, then it's going to be, who was that right person to contact in relation to this, then it's going to be an email, and then we'll be able to see whether they open that email, we can follow them up, and then we can have a series of emails that roll out. Then we'll have a webinar, which is at the end of that month. Then we can see if they went to that webinar or not. We can call them up and see if they had any questions. We can then continue the email, and a lot of this is about who cares. We can find out that who opens emails, who looks at the various information, and then we can go out and we can have the face-to-face meetings with them. And a similar process really starts with the institutions. But we do have good lists on this, and we need to really get a system of communication. But I think the webinars can, 3 leading up to the Minds and Money, can be a good approach for us. Investors and high net worths, what we're really doing is looking to get once we capture their details through advertising and things, we send them out an email. If we have a chance to call them, we'll call them. Obviously we have a string of emails keeping them interested, probably once a week. And then we send them to the webinar, and when we have a sequence thereafter on those, whether they be investors, high net worths, or the bloggers and influencers, etc. And that's really kind of what it's about. It's at the foundational level. There's a bunch of principles. We're offering transparency. We have a consistent message we're going out in the market. We're offering value through good communication, and our target market is largely our existing shareholders and potential investors. We're building trust, and the outcome then is increasing volume in the market. It's obtaining a fair value, it's building liquidity, and it's maintaining shareholder resilience so that they're not selling. In fact, they're referring people and looking to buy. Largely that comes about through building relationships. So I guess from here now through to the end of the year, it's really about building relationships, and I think that's what we need to focus on. Now there'll be a whole bunch of tasks, and we'll break this down a bit, but I just kind of wanted to get this out there so you can have a look at it and obviously comment and give it suggestions based around this framework. So what we're after identifying a Dream 100 in London in the next 90 days leading up to Minds and Money, and we need to say, well, okay, what does success look like when we get to Minds and Money? What have we achieved by then? And we really do need to achieve a lot, so we're going to have to get out there and do whatever we can individually, and that'll come about by bringing an overall plan together, which is what I'll help to communicate over these next few weeks, in particular when we really need to get going. So there it is, we're here now and leading towards Minds and Money, and we've just got to get out there and get it moving. Okay, thanks guys, appreciate your feedback. Thank you.